Good evening, everyone. Thank you for staying. Susan Feldman, I'm the artistic director of St. Anne's Warehouse, and I thank you for coming to see this show. I've been waiting to bring it here for almost 12 years, which is how long ago that I saw it in Montreal. So it's such a honor to have this group of people here, and let's just talk about the show. I want to read you a quick quote from Milo Rao, who is the director and the originator of Hate Radio, who worked very closely on this production with Jens. And I'll have them each introduce themselves when they talk, so I get your names right. Okay, so this is something that Milo wrote he wrote it 20 years after the genocide, and we're now 32 years after. So I'll just read this to you. He wrote, "The truth of memory is not the same as truth according to scientific standards. Hate Radio is not Radio Television Libre de Mille Collines, but an approximation, a reconstruction of this station in today's world 20 years later. It is my very personal attempt, shaped by very personal obsessions, predilections, and memories, to capture the atmosphere of those terrible months with the help of archival material and the stories people have told. And although the script may be the same every time, each evening brings a different program." So I'd like to start with that, this idea of the truth and the reality of what's been created. And perhaps, Jens, you could start because you were there creating it with Milo. And then I'd love the actors to talk about what it's like each night to do it. Do you want to start?
Yeah. I can start. So we started to work on that project in 2010. So it's nearly 16 years ago. And it started as the idea of a reenactment of a radio station. We've been reading the book from Philip Gurevich, so there was actually the start for the book, and then many other books followed, and many movies followed, and then through that fiction we got a lot of contacts to people in Rwanda, and actually we met a director, actor, his name is Dr. Rugamba, and he made a piece from Peter Weiss, which was a trial against Nazi crimes committed. So this trial was happening in Germany, and he was putting that situation to Rwanda, to talk about the genocide in Rwanda and to talk about the trials there. And for us, it was also a thing to talk about this radio station, which happened in '94, and which was causing a big deal to force the genocide in Rwanda, to talk about how could the Holocaust happen in Germany, how could my grandparents and this generation commit these atrocities, to understand it. And while this was happening, so be in that reality of this radio station, to understand how human minds can be manipulated in the way that they can commit these atrocities. So then we started to work with Dorsey Rugamba also in Kigali. We've been driving around, making a lot of interviews. We've been reading together with the cast, so Sébastien Foucault was also part of it, but also a lot of other people in Rwanda. We've been talking to a lot of witnesses and read the transcripts from the trials against the team from this radio station. So this became then the piece, which is like a condensed version. So for us it was like cutting this radio station out of that time and put it into our reality for that time. And it's still now appearing in this reality in New York. And it seems that it's also very relevant in the American reality.
Sébastien and Diogène, you've been in from the beginning, correct? Here, I'm going to give you one too.
Yes. As Jens said, we 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 look for a lot of things together here in Europe, but also in Rwanda. And maybe just for me to talk about my own experience. In the beginning, I didn't know, I did know something about Rwanda, but not so much things, you know. And it was really scaring to play that, because with my colleague, they were Rwandese people, so they had the weight of the history on their shoulders, you know. And for me to tell the words of the hate, that was terrible. I had the impression, the feeling, I hurt them. You understand? Then we played in Rwanda, and we were scared about it with all my colleagues, because that was the first time we will use again the words which killed people over there in Rwanda. I remember, for example, Dorsi was scared as us. That was really hard. But over there, people told us, okay, it's really hard, but it's our story. And people has to tell this story. You have to dance on the bones. You have to laugh into the studio. You have to be really trash, really hard. And people gave us the legitimacy to do it. And I think it's why we played so much all over the world during these 15 years. And yeah, it's a part of my experience. I don't know if it was clear.
That was very clear.
Okay. Yeah, thanks a lot. Sébastien and me, we were at the same school in Belgium, acting school, Conservatoire of Liège in Belgium. So it's a special school regarding the genocide against the Tutsis in Rwanda, because there was created one of the most famous plays on this particular topic called Rwanda 94. And Dorsi Rugamba, and later me and other few actors from Rwanda, mainly based in Belgium at the moment, took part in that play. And we served in a way as a door for Sébastien and other students at our school, like to Rwandan realities. So that's how even part of our teaching staff at the Conservatoire, we are very, compared to the rest of average Belgians, this particular community were more informed than others regarding what happened in Rwanda. So for me, particularly, it was particular in that sense that I was present during the genocide in Rwanda, but in another aspect, because I was a young soldier, part of this particular army, which was at that time not yet a government army, but RPF, and its military branch called RPA, Rwandan Patriotic Army, which was fighting the genocide forces, and 4 years later defeated them and arrested the genocide against the Tutsis in Rwanda. So I can say I'm one of the cast who got opportunity to listen to the radio when it was still airing, but I never got myself personally threatened by anything which was being aired at that moment, because I was part of an army, and time after time that rebel army was gaining field, and it was becoming clear that it will defeat the army it was fighting. So I was young, and part of my family, I knew that we are being threatened by this kind of comments of the radio, but me personally, I was never, I can't say I was at a single moment, I felt that I was threatened, and I was not only one in this kind of particular context. So that's how later, when Milo and Jens, they contacted me to be part of the play, of course I told them that I was kind of familiar, used to be familiar with this radio, and particularly with my own character. I never met him, but I knew that his kind of Kinyarwanda was full of kind of humor and irony that I was able to play, because in Rwanda I'm considered in a way as pioneer or among the pioneers of the comic stage in Rwanda. So comic stage, humor, comedy, yeah. So this particular aspect of the character that I'm performing now, because he was able to use humor and comedy, kind of humor, and it was easy for me, because part of my work as an actor is also humor or comedy, especially in Kinyarwanda. So it was also kind of easy for me to get in the character, but I didn't aspire to imitate him, to imitate Cantano, but I worked immediately on the kind of, I don't know if it can be called a soul or a spirit, this kind of feeling, hatred that can take over a personality and transform him in a few months or years or entire life in a kind of monster that he became to be after. So, yeah.
Thank you. Eric, you're the newest person, correct? Do you want to talk a little bit about what you were doing, how you came to this, and how you handle it every night?
Yeah, my name is Eric, and I joined the cast because I was working with Jens on another project. And we were doing a few projects in Germany, Berlin, and Hamburg. And the person who was acting in the booth as a DJ left. And he said, "Do you want to make some money?" I'm like, "Yeah." Well, as I remember. Wait. And so then, because I have no idea which the character of I never heard, actually. Like, when I was young, I would listen to parts of the radio. It was entertaining. I mean, I would I would rejoice to hate music, but because it's made in a way that is fun, as a kid, you wouldn't, it's like how kids be singing all this music that is full of violence, sometimes, very explicit, but it's just because the melody is so good. So when I got this role, Atom and Diogène and I, we sat down, we're like, so we have to create a character that's probably maybe lives at the border between Congo, so he's trying to be cool, speaks this kind of French, makes this kind of jokes and all that. So, okay, the good part was there wasn't a character before, so I looked at the videos and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna bring my vibe to it. And so when I'm inside, it's more like there's no war happening. It's just fun. It's not serious. I just want people to, when they're doing whatever they're doing, it feels like, it's fun. It's not that bad, So my job is to make the mood light. And of course, underneath it, I know I'm inciting people to kill. I'm making jokes about killing people. For those who speak French and Kinyarwanda, congratulations. You have you have a bigger show than everybody else. And so living with that, for me, is more about responsibility and knowing the power of words, the power of music, the power of art. And I worked for so many years at the Genocide Memorial in Rwanda. I've translated so many stories. They've been part of my life, and I feel like, it's a privilege and an honor at the same time to be able to act in this role, but step outside and tell people whatever you say, especially when you have a platform. We see it on social media, people who can say whatever, and it feels like freedom of speech. You can just do whatever you want to do, tell people to do whatever that you want them to do without consequences. And I think your president is pretty good at it. And I feel like this is gonna be the longest 3 years I've ever seen. But as artists as well, we're here to remind people that we want people at the end of the day. And so to live with that, I make music, I make art, and try to, find the balance in between.
Jens, how's it changed over the years when you started 32 years ago, and when you go from country to country, how has it still resonates, obviously, but how has it changed for you and also the audiences? How are the audiences different, would you say, over time and place?
Luckily, it's just 15 years, not 32.
Yeah.
So the premiere was 2011, and the big change, as Sébastien was saying, it was really in being performing. So one of the first performances was taking place in the original radio station of RTLM in Rwanda. We had one show there. It was very rough, so was not a set, but was a copy shop. So we had a table and a small radio station, and people on the streets in Kigali have been listening to it. And Diogène, he was there as a spectator, and we had a discussion afterwards with a bunch of Rwandan students, and they've been saying, hey, you Muzungu, white people, you come here and talk about the Rwandan genocide. This is kind of exploitation of our history and so on. Why do you do that? And then we kept our mouth shut, and it was Diogène and some others who said, well, this is not only a Rwandan story, it's a global story. It's important to tell it. It's happened in other places before, and it could happen again. And that's important to tell, and that's not only for Rwandans. We work together with Rwandans, and it's for a global audience. So, and then we had a lot of discussions with them. It turned out really good, let's say. So, and this gave us the courage to continue to have that also as to carry with that. That's important for Rwandans, and then we had some performances in Germany. It was invited, and then really we went to Japan, South Africa, to Bogota and Colombia. We've been in a lot of places in Europe and so on, and especially in places like South Africa, for example. So when there was end of apartheid, which was in '94, the most important thing for the people there, they've been saying then, we had discussions with students, they've been saying, oh, wow, this tells also about the racism that's taking place in the country against people from Zimbabwe, and there's also hate speech. So people connected to their specific situation. Yeah? And the shocking thing is that it got more important over the years. So that we had so when we started in 2011, 2012, the right-wing parties in Europe were not as strong as they are now. And they're using these old, I mean, they didn't invent it. So when you look at Goebbels and when you look at the Nazi propaganda, so anti-Semitism and so on, it's the same mechanism. So what we have now with TikTok and so on, it's new gadgets and new techniques, but the narratives, yeah, so dehumanization and like mirroring and so on, that's the same techniques. And it's important to, also for young audiences, to understand how it works, to somehow get immune from it, yeah, to fight this hate speech. And that was the response from all the audiences where we performed, that it helps to understand it. Not read it only in a book, but be there and for the 70 minutes that the station is sending out, to be part of that hate speech and understand physically also.
Could you talk a little bit, Sébastien and Diogène, a little bit about physically what it feels like? Because you're improvising some of the nights, right? We're reading the super titles, but you're improvising. So when you're improvising, are you improvising? How do you join together yourself and your character, especially when you're improvising? And yeah, try that.
I talked about a spirit. When this kind of spirit filled of hatred and the rest of components combined make this particular character happening or existing, it's no longer a matter of being precise in detail, like for each word. At the moment, the program has to stay the same every single night, but the performance is not required that much to stay the same. An accident can happen, and more than once accidents happened, and we are on air. So at the moment you can help ask someone to bring you something because he dropped something and he didn't realize it, and you don't get off air to ask such a service or such requirement. So I think the program has to be the same, but performance, it's a matter of performance and living performance. It's not a robotic kind of. So I can improvise, perhaps is not the most appropriate word, but you can feel, add a word or two just to keep, I would say, you don't betray the spirit of the thing or of the character, but if you use a word in instead of another, you are aware that it doesn't betray, at any case, the spirit or the character. So in French we use vrai et vraisemblable. So sometimes you can even forget. You can skip a sentence because just you forget. But when you come back, you use perhaps another word, but which is not in contradiction with the words that are usually used or said by the character. Don't know if, sorry for my French English.
No, you tell all the story, but maybe it's
Compliment from you in English.
Yeah, maybe 92% is perfectly the truth. 3% is some sentences we picked up in other part of the radio broadcasts, and a part is to be alive together on stage, to improve together. And for example, for the RTLM, normally there were not many people. It was just one speaker and another one, and here we decided to be all together, to dance together. So it's different. This part is different, and that's why we invented things, sentences to be linked. Clear?
Yeah. But I would like to also to contribute on the comments Jens made regarding the reactions in different parts of the world, like in South Africa, in Bogota. I think audiences relate sometimes with their own background, historical background. Of course, once in South Africa, parallels were made with apartheid, and once in Colombia, we could feel that they are recent history filled with violence. People could relate when we are talking about rebel army. They could relate or think about their own history, and it was particular also in Rwanda because there people related with their own history. It was the history was and still is theirs. So it required. It was special and hard to be special than any other audience in the world, because you are performing it in front of people who some of them were there, but others lost their entire family, some of them, because of these words. So the conscience that these words killed for real was and still is more present in Rwanda than elsewhere in the world. But the rest of the humanity should be aware also that it's not a joke.
Should we open it up to the audience? Do you all have questions?
Hi. So as I listened to you and as I watched the play, I wanted to know about how, since you originated this, your relationship with radio has changed. Because as a society, as a cultures, we maybe haven't always, now we don't rely on radio in the way that we have in the past. So has that affected maybe audiences' experiences or the way that people think of the work? I'm just curious because I love the radio. I listen to the radio quite a bit, but I'm wondering if as we get past or get into a different place of where we're getting our news, where we're getting our information, if that's come into your thoughts at all.
Not really, I have to say, because so when we started in 2011, radio was not TV killed the radio star. So radio was not as important, and it was there. So there in '94, it was in Rwanda was a very special situation. So there were not a lot of TV. So radio was, like the journalist said here, the voice of authority. But we've got now podcasts, which are incredibly. So you can hear them everywhere. So it's more about narratives and about language and about narratives forming our perception of the world. So that's how I would put it. And you see it even if you see videos, you've got a narrative behind it. So, and that's why it still relates to today's reality.
Yeah, what I can say so in terms of context is that back in the day you didn't have so many sources of information. So it will be one source of information or two, both of them controlled by the government or the powers that be, to disseminate a certain type of information so that, and then when it's repeated over time, we're talking about more than 40 years, and so eventually becomes part of people's lives, and it's easy to manipulate them that way. But now there's more and more information. There's information, counter information. It feels like sometimes you decide actually what you want to believe in. Whether back in the day you had to believe into what they tell you. I think people have more options, there could be more critical thinking if people wanted to, but also because they have to pay bills, people focus more on like what is important, where is it gonna get him in trouble, do I get involved, do I not get involved? I think maybe a lot more desensitization in terms of like how people are experiencing community compared to back in the day. But there's more and more information, and sometimes people don't want to go look for more information. So if it's different, there's more options, but also somehow not options at the same time. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This was a really searing performance and very painful to watch. I'm very grateful to you. My question is, I was thinking about the durational aspect of this, like you were talking about the history of Nazism, kind of like the Rwanda genocide. And I'm wondering, for those of you who have been involved with it for a very long time, what it's been like to be performing it while another genocide is going on in Palestine. And what it's been like to have to kind of like perform, like so many of the words that I heard today are things that we have heard from the Knesset, from the Israeli government. Like, I'm just wondering what it's like for you to do it while it's happening in real time, not something that could happen in the future, but right now.
Yes, no. It's difficult to talk about this question because it's really polemic. And yes, we built this work to Non, mais on utilise les mêmes mécanismes. Donc, en fait, évidemment, on y pense, mais c'est surtout quelque chose qui se reflète dans le public. Le public, lui, il est chargé de cette histoire actuelle. Et donc, comme on utilise les mêmes ingrédients, finalement, au niveau du hate speech, ça se reflète, en fait. Je ne sais pas comment expliquer mieux que ça.
For me, as I said, I was, comment on dit, j'ai été témoin. I witnessed genocide. So being involved in such a performance and in a period when a genocide or genocides can happen or are happening, as Milo said it well, it's an attempt. So ideally, it will be to tell people, the rest of humanity, be aware. If it usually and always starts like this, in a lighter way, but please make attention that it can be horrible than you think or than you thought. But usually they know. People who are preparing this kind of horrors, they know what's the project, and they know that the project perhaps has to begin not in such a monstrous way. So, but for me personally, I'm no longer this kind of idealistic because I witnessed personally what humankind is able as horror, but at the same time, as an artist, my duty is to be an activist and to help in the debate and to help avoid what is still avoidable. But if it would happen, or if it happens 10 times more, we will keep doing the same thing and trying to tell people, please stop or please avoid. But hélas.
Thank you so much for your performance tonight. Merci beaucoup, Murakoze. I have a difficult question. So there is a lot of genocide denial that's still happening, right, online. There is a lot of anti-Tutsi rhetoric even. There is discourses about Kagame that resonate with some of the things we heard today, comparing him to Hitler, etc. So I want to ask for your advice, really, since you inhabit this space over and over again of crafting believable falsehoods, what your insights are as to how we can find ways, constructive, creative ways, to defeat those genocide denial, ce révisionnisme qui est partout dans les médias, surtout en social media, right?
Bon, j'ai peut-être loupé première partie du. I don't know what to say. Perhaps we have a few scholars in here who have more expertise than me to intervene on this if you want. But of course, the negationism and denial speeches in all the genocides that have happened and that have been recognized by the international community. Of course, negationism is part of the history of a genocide, and the particular aspect, perhaps with what happened in Rwanda, is that the negationism and the revisionism regarding this particular genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda in 1994 happened almost before it was recognized by the international community or the United Nations. So it was not even recognized as finished, that already the mechanism of revisionism was on the way. So at the moment the international community recognized that in Rwanda happened this genocide, the mechanism of its revisionism, denialism was so, and with some scholars and especially the platforms given or offered by the same countries that were failed, not necessarily guilt, but we are feeling that their responsibility will, in a way, brought trials or whatever. And when the United Nations put in place this international tribunal for Rwanda, of course, some figures and some nations knew that it was going to be hard and tough for them, and the denialism, comment dirais-je, en a profité pour. So for me, I'm not surprised. This kind of a play or initiatives can help, but as an artist, that's my duty, but my main contribution remains the stage. My main legitimacy as an artist, the rest of the fight and struggle should be ours, all of us. Not necessarily regarding Rwanda, to take what happened in Rwanda as a lesson and as a weapon to fight the right struggle. Sorry for my English.
Do you want to say it in French?
Non, j'ai fini.
Are there, well, there was a few comments talking about how your play is very much affected, it speaks to contemporary issues, and there's at least 2 genocides going on right now. But my question is, since the beginning of the play, has there been any specific parts that have been added or changed at all to reflect like contemporary? And if not, why?
Just small parts, really small parts. So we had cowboy génocidaire. But this was before. So this is like a couple of years. No, actually, not much, because it was all there, and it was in the time. Yeah. So in the documents, and so this seems to be. It seems to really apply on different situations in different times. Yeah, so in different. So for 15 years it's running. So it applies for 15 years in different countries in different situations. People can relate to it. So. Why
did you change the cowboy?
Oh, this was when did it happen actually, Sébastien? So that this was like 10 years when.
From the beginning. It was the beginning. I think we didn't change anything, like adding a part, but perhaps this can relate to the sentences, 1 or 2, where it's like when I talk about Hiroshima, Nagasaki, it has been now like 80% of the performances, but 20% of the performances, and one day said, why? Because this is just 1 hour and a half of a life of a radio. So at the moment, and again, it's not. What is here is not the most emblematic of the horror, of the horrible. This is not the project. If it was this, the target, I think me personally, I wouldn't be have made myself available for the project. So it's not kind of the most horrible things and the horrible comments. No, this is not. But things have been said, and others. Just to relate, just as I said, the program remains the same, but the performance is not. It's not robotic. So when talking about Clinton and America, génocidaire d'Indiens, so that's in this sentence, it's just like fueling the idea of condemning Clinton and America, but from our own perspective, as in that particular moment, we are just against Clinton. But it's not like a new part of the play. I don't think there was any new part of the play, but it's just a word or a sentence, but which doesn't betray the character and the spirit of the radio. That's it, I think.
I think we're gonna wrap it up. I just want to say one quick thing, that having seen it, 12 years ago, and taking that long to bring it here into this country, it just seemed like this was the exact moment that this play should come here. So I think from my point of view, if it helps people get into the streets and helps us move forward with a lot of power together, good. So thank you all very much.